Thank you all so much. This is definitely the largest 1 million cups I've seen, and I've been to like half a dozen or so now. Thank you all so much, first of all, just for having me. My name is Grayson Marshall. I live in Hendersonville, North Carolina, a touch south of Asheville, if you're familiar with the area. And I apologize in advance. I talk really fast, so you're just gonna have to hurry up and listen faster. Anyways, I'm here today because there is an issue in America, and that issue is college debt. And I'm just gonna like that down all the time to switch slides. Y'all know college is expensive. You've all been through it, I would imagine, and if you haven't, you're fully aware, and you definitely know someone who has, and someone who has a ton of college debt. This business, Knockout College, kind of started out of my aversion to paying for college, because I'm cheap and I don't want to do that. But I went down when I was in high school to tour my first choice college, one that all my friends were going to. I didn't even know what I wanted to do at the time. And I actually got some really great news after I'd done the tour, going to the financial aid office, everything like that. I was actually going to get a scholarship. I was going to get an $8,000 scholarship. At the time, I was like, sweet. But you're all entrepreneurs in this room. You know my next question. What's the remaining amount? And that answer was $26,000 a year. So I was like, okay, maybe not, maybe not. So I don't really feel like paying $104,000 for my education. And so at that point, I started to look around and really realize like what was going on with higher education and the cost. I don't know if you know this, but actually South Carolina is one of the highest in student debt. There's a map here. This is done by the Chronicle of Higher Education for the highest student debt in America. And if you can't see from right here, South Carolina is number one. There's a few different numbers floating around, so this may not be entirely accurate. But my state's, North Carolina, is 5. So it's not good either way. The average amount is about $30,000, and it takes students more than 10 years to pay this back. And this is just the average. Of course, there's horror stories of hundreds of thousands of dollars and everything like that. But it's personal when you have to pay for it. And so when I started looking around at colleges, I was like, okay, I know I can get my education for less, but I don't entirely know how. And so I was actually introduced to a method called testing out. And so that's what I'll talk about a little bit more. But before I do, I'll tell you the results. And for that, I'm gonna give you a cost comparison. Get a little feedback. Right here in Charleston, this is the price for the College of Charleston. And this is a public school here. Here's the cost for a private school. And this is pretty close to my neck of the woods up in Furman, at $63,000. That is insane. So, I'll go ahead and give you my comparison. Actually, I'll talk a little bit more for a second. Not only did I save a lot of money, I actually saved a lot of time as well. Thankfully, because the way I did my education, because of testing out, I had the freedom to go out and work at the time for Chick-fil-A, where I would go out and travel and do grand openings. I traveled to Tokyo and Chicago, Montana, Las Vegas, and I didn't have to wear a hat like this. I didn't have a debt hat. That's terrible. So I'll go ahead and give you my results, even though there's a typo in this. I got a year and a half of college in about 4 months for $1,900. I'm actually about to go take one of these tests tomorrow, and I'll have 3 more credits. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm using this program that's been around for over 50 years, put on by the College Board, the same people that run the SAT, the ACT, everything like that. And all I'm doing is taking one test, and that counts for my credit. Tomorrow I'm taking fundamentals of counseling, and just because I need a last general elective for my degree. So testing out classes is how I do this, but unfortunately a lot of students don't even know about this option. It's not been introduced in their high schools or anything like that. They all talk about dual enrollment in high school, but this is an option for those students who either can't afford college or want to go on to further their degree, anything like that. It's a fantastic option for veterans because it's completely free, but also it's just a great option overall for anyone who wants to go back to school and get at least some of their general education credits for very, very inexpensively. So we talked a little about who should do this. But I'm curious to hear from you. I'm struggling right now, and just to kind of give you an insight into the business, I'm struggling right now to convince students that they need to do this because they're more concerned with the college experience, with the actual paying for college. For anyone in this room who has paid for college, you are fully aware how expensive it is, and you probably recognize the benefits of this. If you're listening right now, you've had college debt, anything like that, and it's a no-brainer. It's like, oh yeah, obviously, I'll get 3 credits for $100, no problem. But for those kids, they just want the college experience. And granted, there's absolutely some benefits to that. But at the same time, wouldn't you rather, instead of being in a college taking 18 credits, 15 credits, anything like that, you can reduce it to 12. You can save a lot of money, and then you have even more time for athletics. You have more time for extracurricular activities, clubs, anything like that. You're going to have even more time for it. So I'm looking at switching to a more business-to-business model of pitching this. Essentially what I do right now is an online course that is an SAT or ACT prep, but for these programs. Specifically for CLEP, for DSST, for the other half a dozen that are out there. I teach students how to test out with my online course, with the book that I have available. But I'm looking at switching to business so I can provide people with the option so that parents can have the option. They're aware that their company offers it so that they can help their student go to college and have the knowledge from that end rather than giving it to the students and having them not either take the piece of paper to the parents or just forget about it completely, anything like that. So I'll go ahead and finish up here. There we go. I don't have a business card with me, so here's my information. knockoutcollege.com is my website. Here's my email, here's my phone number. Please give me a call, please give me a text, email, anything like that. I would love to connect with you. I just want to thank y'all so much for having me here at 1 Million Cups, and I look forward to great questions, constructive feedback, everything like that. So thanks so much.
All right. Great job. So we'll go ahead and start Q&A. I see some hands already.
Yes, ma'am.
Make sure to introduce yourself.
Frank Wells, thanks, Grayson. Is this just for the first year or two of college that you can do this, and then you go to the last 2 years of college? Tell me the rest.
Great question. Majority are for general education courses that would be in your first year or two. However, there are some higher level ones as well. I've done some myself that you can apply. It's really more of looking at your school for their credit cap rather than the credits that you actually need to take. So my school that I chose, Western Carolina, accepts 90 credits as transfer. And so I was able to transfer about a total of 90 actually to Western before I actually went there.
3 years of college, transfer 3 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's correct.
So I might have missed it, but does your website essentially just tell people how to get this done, or is there other resources on there? And
Yeah.
my second question is, do you do anything with edX?
I'm sorry?
edX, the edX.com?
I'm not familiar actually. I'd love to connect with you afterwards. And
Sure, I'll tell you about it.
My website essentially is a kind of landing page for the online course. That's really the goal of, or kind of my business model is using the online course to educate people. It's about 5 hours worth of content, and by the time they're finished, they should be able to go through and test out very easily. I don't address individual courses because there's just so many, but I do address the system as a whole. There's about half a dozen programs out there, and there's just a lot of confusion. There's not much literature as far as getting this done, and so I wanted to kind of combine that all into one package and give it to a student and have them be able to go through this course and come out and be able to test out of pretty much any of these courses that are available. Yes, sir, in the back. We got a question.
Oh, I'm coming. Oh yeah, hold your mic up a little bit more so
Yeah,
we can all hear you.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Did you have a question or were you just telling him that? Okay, great. I see. All right.
Hi, great presentation. My name's Allison Charleston. I work at Charleston Southern University, another private school in the Low Country that you can add instead of Furman. So go Bucks. I'm our internship coordinator, but I also teach. So I was curious. We've had students who do CLEP out of classes. It's common, but sometimes it sets them up for failure in higher level classes. For instance, they test out of Spanish 1 because they took it in high school. They get into Spanish 202 and they fail. So your courses, do they provide students with the knowledge or just the skill set to CLEP out of test? Do they already have to have the skills to, like the knowledge of Spanish or math or things like that? Or is it like a cram course?
No, it's more of a training platform. That's great that students CLEP out your university. I'm glad to hear that colleges around here accept it. No, so actually I took the Spanish CLEP. I had never taken Spanish other than like a year of high school that was relatively elementary. And I passed out of Spanish, and I went on to Western, and I passed out of my second one. The College Board actually has some numbers as far as students being successful in their later courses who have tested out. I don't have those numbers with me, but they do say that most students who CLEP out or DSST or anything like that, they actually end up having more success. And so that may be an individual basis, but it's really more about the student and like how they're studying rather than
maybe selection bias because those students might be like high achievers and
Yes,
already
yeah,
have
exactly.
right. And then another question I had was, with students that want the college experience, if they come in with that many credits, does it force them to graduate early? So like, do you have to graduate when you're done with that final year? Or if you have like scholarship or something, can you stay on and take upper level classes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually kind of going through that now with Western. I do have a scholarship with Western Carolina, and they're extending that to my graduate level courses, should I choose to take them. I'm not graduating early, I'm graduating like right on time, but thankfully because of testing out, I've been able to have very light semesters, or in the case of doing the year and a half, about 4 months, that was all condensed. It only took me about 2 weeks or so on average per course. And so I was able to get through that very quickly. I don't see a lot of students doing it like I did it. I feel like that was a bit excessive. I'm a bit gung-ho about that kind of thing. But a lot of students could test out of a course or two and just lighten their load for the semester rather than test out of an entire year. Some may, and definitely some do. But I think the more common approach will be testing out of a course, maybe 2 a semester, something like that. Does that answer your question? Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Janelle Fox. I have a few questions. I have a student my daughter's going into college next year, so I'm very interested in this. So I'm trying to understand your business model a little bit better. So how many courses are there that a potential college student could test out of? Is it any course, or is it only just general level courses?
There's some higher level as well, not all of them. They're mostly focused in, I believe, engineering, business. There's actually a few nursing, and a few others. More of nursing, like theory and fact, rather than like a lab or anything like that.
So how many courses on your website do you have the training capabilities for?
I teach them more about the tests themselves rather than about like the systems themselves rather than tests.
Okay.
So I'm not teaching them Spanish 101. I'm not teaching them history of ideas, anything like that. I'm teaching them about the test structure, about study systems, similar to like what you would see with an SAT or an ACT prep course, but specifically for this system, for CLEP, for the SST. So they should, by the end of it, understand the system well enough and be able to go through it. And I also give resources and everything that they would need to actually go through in that individual course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how much do you charge?
The course is $250.
Okay, so then they would take your course for $250, then they would go to the teacher, then they would say, I want to test out of the class, and then the teacher provides them a test.
It's typically done at a university, but you can sign up online. You don't necessarily have to go through a teacher. They're offered at military bases, mostly colleges, though, is where you'll find them. And the College Board has a location finder on their site to find the nearest one to you.
And so when you said you wanted to go and approach other businesses, what was your target market in those other businesses?
Probably businesses that offer scholarships, because this is a very inexpensive way for them to get a lot more bang for the buck, essentially, rather than giving out a $2,000 scholarship that someone's going to use for maybe a course or two. If that, even, they can test out of a year and a half's worth. It's just a lot more value for their either their customers or not necessarily their customers, but their employees to test out of. So $2,000 goes a lot further with that. So I'm looking towards businesses that offer scholarships that would offer other incentives other than just base pay.
And I think this is my last question.
Yeah.
So if you're just teaching like about the test, would they pay $250 for one time just to get training, or is it $250 every single?
No, it's just one time. It covers the whole gambit of like what's offered out there. We talk about the entire testing out world and everything that's available. We just put all the options out on the table. I share my own experience and some of the pitfalls I faced with it, and so that way, hopefully, they don't make the same mistakes. There is some, like you said with Charleston Southern, some issues with transferring credits, everything like that. And so I'm trying to mitigate that as much as possible and make sure they have a great experience that they can go through very easily rather than just trying to figure it out, kind of stumbling through and wasting time and money.
Hey, good morning, Whitney McDuff. Great job this morning. I've just got a quick marketing suggestion. You've really got two different messages I think that you should look at. One is for the parents who are very involved in this process with the children and really understand the gravity of the debt in a way that the children don't. So maybe that's their message. And then for the kids, you brought up a really great point about taking some weight off their shoulders if they're getting these credits out of the way so that they can have a better experience. Because I think that's going to be their concern about doing this, is they're not getting the full college vibe, but they could
Absolutely.
with a better experience because they're not so stressed out about taking all these credits. So that's a really great marketing message you have there for them.
And I'll ask you and everyone else in the room, my question is, how do I reach parents? I've gone to some different schools, at least in my local area, and they're hesitant to have an outside speaker, especially one that's not a nonprofit, come into their school and help try to teach the kids. Even though it's for college, I'm trying to help them out. They're a bit hesitant to have me in the schools, and so my question is, how do I reach parents who have kids in college? If you have any ideas, let me know. I have tried Facebook marketing, just in case that was a thought. It's relatively successful. It's more traffic than anything, but it's not necessarily follow through on that.
Hi, Billy Ottaway, Piper Growth Business Strategies, President's Roundtable. I have a freshman in college, or starting college.
Yeah.
She tested out on 3 courses,
Awesome.
but then the deans of the schools would not let her test out of those classes. So it was very, very frustrating, even though she made the scores necessary to test, so it's not always given. As far as Facebook marketing, you probably have to do the paid advertising. Are you doing the paid advertising?
I did for a little while. I just didn't see many results with it, and so it's been more face-to-face than anything, referrals, that kind of thing.
So there's some what do you call them, network websites like Ion Next Door, and so you might want to try and leverage in some of those if you can, so that where the parents are.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Would you mind sending me an email with that? Thank you.
Good morning, Taylor. My name is Thomas Heath. I'm one of the community organizers here. So first of all, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You've been to other 1 Million Cups?
Yes, sir. I've been to a few now.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. So thanks for coming to present here, especially in front of so many people. I definitely suggest that you look at the video of this if you don't have someone taking notes.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I'm a branding and messaging guy. So first, let me tell you, you have something special when it comes to presenting. You're charismatic, you're very poised, you have the it factor there. I do suggest you slow down. And here's why, because I'm originally from New York. I've learned to slow down here. That's been good for me. I'm less type A, it's been good for me. And the bottom line is, if there's any barrier to someone absorbing your message, that's a barrier to a sale. And I would suggest you slow down. Okay. Now, your presentation, it was okay. It wasn't great. I think you missed a dynamite opportunity. Don't really know what your business is about until I went to your website. So I'm going to give you some specific suggestions.
Sure.
I do business coaching, so this is going to give you a little tough love. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
You can handle it. Okay. So I believe the 4 fundamentals of building the brand of a business are company name, your logo, your tagline, your logo, and your elevator story in those orders. So your company name, I'm not quite sure is doing you justice. I look at it, I'm like, okay, knockout colleges. Am I going to learn to go? Is it for boxing? I'm just saying, be open to changing that. Couldn't find a tagline for you, so I created one for you, and I'm going to put on the LinkedIn post, and you're going to get this for free. Okay? So if by show of hands, if you saw Knockout College, how many of you would really know what that is? Okay, now I'm going to add this tagline. College credits, no debt. Now raise your hand if you get it a little better. Just saying, okay? Logo, again, it's cool. I think it's a boxing school. And last but not least, and the most important, is your elevator story. What do you say that people can absorb what you get? Make it clear, concise, compelling, with a call to action, so that we can all bird dog for you. We can message for you. Last but not least, the number one thing that I come across in businesses, and you suffering it from as well, is you're not doing a good job telling your story. So it's an easy fix. There's some, where are the videographers in this room? We got some video here. Any other videographers? Okay, Robert, I said Robert. He's in the back. Find some videographers. You're extremely charismatic, dude. Sit down, get a great script, produce 1-minute, low-cost videos, and start getting the story out. I hope that helps.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Andy Larson. A quick question. So for your audiences, are you looking for people, say, that are like, in their beginning, still in high school, the kind of people who might be taking AP courses, where they can knock some of these out before they go to college, or is this after they're making their decision and then they're in college? I mean, where are we starting?
Yes, that's a great question. You can actually start these in high school as well, just like AP. There's some benefits that I talk about in the course as well over AP, but I mean, I'm all for inexpensive college credits, so however you want to do it, AP, whatever, that's fantastic. It's about as widely accepted as AP, and so that shouldn't really affect it too much there. The question is where do you want to go to school, what degree you want to have first. If you know those things, or at least have an idea, like a ballpark range of, okay, I may want to go to these 4 or 5 schools, that's fantastic. Let's check through their websites, let's go call advisors and everything like that, make sure they accept these courses and particular courses that you want to take, and then you can start testing out even if you're in high school.
So have you like spoken like guidance counselors and stuff? Because maybe they might be your initial target instead of the parents.
I have spoken to a few guidance counselors, and it was mostly a response of great idea, we love it, but we can't necessarily advertise it for it in a school.
Hey, I'm Julia. Great idea. I may have missed this. Did you say whether these courses are online courses with you or they in-person courses? Is it a mix?
I do some consulting, and I have that listed on my website. However, the main product is the online course.
Hi, Grayson. My name is Derek Einelli-Smith with Outsource CIO. First of all, I thought it was great. I'm one of the few people that didn't finish high school, took my GED, and graduated the same year with my high school class in my liberal arts degree. When I was in the military, we were educated on CLEPs and how to do those types of things. So when I was in your website, started seeing how you answer the frequently asked questions, the videos, and the content that was available there, I think it's fantastic. My question is, have you thought about going to military bases where soldiers and veterans who are deployed 9 months out of the year, like I was, who need to knock out college like that, and might piggyback with what they're doing and offering in the education system that they're doing? Has that been a consideration for you?
It has, and I've been looking for a way to connect with someone there at a military base and finding who should I connect with, if I can ask you at a military base. Perfect, I appreciate it.
Are you on LinkedIn? Did I miss it?
I am.
Okay, I'm old because I love LinkedIn. And then the other thing is, are you asking for money? What's your big ask at the end of the day here?
My big ask from y'all is for advice. I would love to connect with you. If you know of a business who could help, or even a business, a student, a parent who needs to know about this information, please send them my way. I would love to connect with them and hopefully help them save money on college.
And one more idea for you is the parent-teacher associations and parent-teacher organizations are completely separate. And if you can reach those at some of the colleges and some of the high schools, they would be very receptive to this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hadn't considered that.
So you are on LinkedIn. I've reached out to you. Your business is not. So that's a lost opportunity. At least I couldn't find it. So, and what I would suggest is when people like myself post, we're doing it to support you. Get the conversations going. Don't just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Ask questions, leverage it. Say, can I meet? Can we talk on the phone? Can we have coffee? These folks are awesome. This is the best connecting meeting in Charleston, bar none. And they're going to give you a lot of free advice. Take advantage of it in a humble, grateful manner, and take some time to acknowledge them on all these different posts on social media, including LinkedIn, and get, if you're going to go and knock out college, at least get it up as a company page. Cool?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris. I just wanted to, I was curious, the courses that are online, are these recorded, like pre-recorded courses that everybody gets the same course, they go and buy it for $250 and you get the same thing?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Have you considered doing it live? Not necessarily in person, but like online webinars, like that type of thing? Because
I considered it as an advertisement, maybe like for an introductory course, somewhat similar to the pitch today, but extended a little bit, more informative, I should say. Do you mean like the entire course doing it as a webinar?
Yeah, so the reason that I asked is I actually have a bit of experience doing online webinars, and it's it's a super popular way to get information out, and people just in general, I found, they like to have the information coming to them live, right? They don't want to, people don't always want to see a pre-recorded course. They feel like it might be out of date or whatever. So if you have the time and the ability to do it live and be able to actually interact with the people that are taking the course, that's a huge selling point.
Awesome. No, I hadn't considered that at all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, yeah.
Thanks, Grayson. Love the presentation, love the concept, because I have 2 college students in the house. So figuring out how to help them get their degrees in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money is a good goal. I'm kind of like Thomas, digital marketing, investing, that's my background. One of the things you could do beautifully is a YouTube channel to talk about college success. Because you've had it, you're helping other students get it. It's a great way to get traction with Google, because Google loves YouTube. And so that's an opportunity in addition to your LinkedIn page that you might consider taking advantage of. The question you ask yourself, where is my tribe? Well, you're a Chick-fil-A guy. Chick-fil-A parents are part of your tribe. So to the extent that you can leverage that as your people, in addition to that, Dave Ramsey fans would love your stuff. Overlap with the Chick-fil-A audience, overlap with the Dave Ramsey crew, and then you can begin to get your message to the right people. Because it's hard, you can't talk to everybody. But you think, who are my tribes? How do I get in front of them? How do I amplify the message? YouTube can help with that, LinkedIn can help with that. Making the message clear and maybe engaging live as a lead gen strategy with Facebook could also be helpful to you. And so wish you great luck. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything to add. I think you're a young man, you're working hard to get it done. I applaud you. I have one interesting statistic for everybody. From my understanding, 2030, 1 out of every 2 Americans will be self-employed. So I think college is incredible because it teaches us to struggle, but there's a very good chance with our college educations, the only person you're going to have to impress by 2030 is yourself.
Fantastic addition. That's very true. I looked that up, but as far as employers go, where we're at in the present moment, they just want to see the degree. Where you get it almost doesn't really matter anymore, other than Ivy League colleges or so and some of the upper level. It doesn't matter quite as much. So if you want to get a job, you have to have a degree. It doesn't really matter. And so if you walk in with this, having done it in less time for less money, then just all the more benefit to you.
Any other questions? Okay, last call. We're gonna, yeah, one more